Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to another review. And this is for Red Dragon, which this is a Blu-ray that a nice guy named Tony had sent me. Now, Red Dragon, I'd usually say it's a prequel to The Silence of the Lambs, because the last scene of this movie is someone saying, "Hey, Anthony Hopkins, hey Lecter, there's this girl that wants to see you." And he's like, "What's her name?" And of course, that's Clarice Starling. And really what it is this movie, which this is the movie I'm going to talk about after this one. Crappy cover, but Manhunter, this was a film in the 80s, I think 86, by Michael Mann. And even it says Hannibal Lecter's legacy of evil begins here. But this was made first before Silence of the Lambs. It was based on Red Dragon. And after the success of Hannibal, which was 2001, this came out around, what, 2002? And again, I'm not reviewing Hannibal Rising. I don't care. I didn't like that film when I first saw it. I don't need to see it again. Now, Red Dragon, I'll give props on the cast. Edward Norton is Will Graham. Edward Norton does a good job. Harvey Keitel is his superior. He does a good job. Ray Fiennes is the killer, who is played by Tom Noonan in that film. He doesn't do a bad job. Emily Watson, Mary Louise Parker, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman's the journalist. They're not that bad either. It's just really what it is. I saw Manhunter first. And I watch this, and I go, to me, this is a useless movie to have. Because why should I watch this when I can watch this? Which to me is a better version. It's pretty much the same movie, but it does a couple little different stuff. But to me, this was better made. It flowed better. This has a good cast as well, which I'll talk about more, but William Peterson and Joan Allen and Brian Cox and Dennis Farina and Stephen Lane and Tom Noonan. Stephen Lane did a good job with it. I'll do more into that again when I review this. But when I watch this, it's just a bit sense of deja vu because I had seen this film, and this film I think works absolutely fine. The only reason they did this was, well, let's do it so that Anthony Hopkins is in it. We can get another Hannibal film. This is, they had Manhunter, but we can do a proper version with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. But to be honest, it just doesn't work. Maybe this is more like the book, but I'm just basing it on the movie itself. At times, it just feels like I'm watching this again, only a lesser version. Because I don't mind Brett Ratner as a director, but, I like Money Talks, Rush Hour 1 and 2. But Michael Mann is a better director than Brett Ratner. And this film just has more of a mood, more of an atmosphere. I like the music and the score better. I do like Tom Noonan better as the villain. I do like the Hannibal Lecter character having a small role in this, which is Brian Cox's character. Because it leaves more room for William Peterson's character. And I like William Peterson. I like Edward Norton. If I had to pick, though, I'd pick William Peterson, though. I thought that was more stylish, Manhunter, because of Michael Mann's direction, use of colors. But this, it just seems like a typical Hollywood crime movie. Probably a big budget film. I mean, the plot, it's pretty much, think of Manhunter, but add in a lot more Hannibal Lecter because Anthony Hopkins is in it. And Anthony Hopkins, I didn't mention him. To me, this is his weakest performance as Hannibal Lecter. To me, you just say he's chewing the scenery in all the films he's been in, and all the Lecter films. But I thought this was the one he was chewing the scenery the most, where he's like, he is evolving. He is, it's like, it's just a little bit, just too much. I mean, I'm not going to say Anthony Hopkins was horrible, but Hannibal Lecter, at times I'm like, I don't need to see him and Edward Norton's sequences together. There's quite a bit, and it just makes me think of Silence of the Lambs. Those scenes just remind me too much of Silence of the Lambs. I know, probably that's the purpose of it. And the other stuff just reminds me, I thought, I mean, this isn't a rant because I'm not going to say it's a horrible movie. But it just seems like, why the hell should I watch this when I just watch that film? I mean, the beginning's different. I mean, this has Edward Norton talking with Anthony Hopkins' character, finding out that Anthony Hopkins is the cannibal that he's looking for. They have a little fight, and Anthony Hopkins gets stabbed with these arrows and gets shot to shit. But then, just like that one, you have an official, an older officer, supervisor, I should say, that goes to the Will Graham character, who has had a run-in with the Lecter character. You just see it at the beginning of this one. That Manhunter, they mention it. He doesn't want to do it. He's with his family. Supervisor's like, well, there's this killer, smashes mirrors, has killed families. You know, this is in both films. He said, okay, I'll go in, just look at the evidence. Does. Mirrors in the eyes. The killer, the red, dealing with the red dragon, the whole symbolism of that. Meeting this blind woman, fall in love with her. You even have the scene with her petting a tiger. Because they're both adapted from the same novel, so of course it'd have a lot of the same stuff in it. But like the little differences at the beginning and ending is the ones that I notice the most differences. The beginning of this is they have the Will Graham character, him actually dealing with Hannibal Lecter, and more scenes of Hannibal Lecter's character, because again, you have Anthony Hopkins, while here, it's just, okay, Lecter's... For all I know, I don't know, I've never read the novel, so I don't know which is more faithful. But maybe Lecter wasn't in it that much in Manhunter. I mean, in the novel. Either way, I was fine with the amount in this movie. It just seemed like it was trying to redo Silence of the Lambs in those sequences between Edward Norton and Anthony Hopkins. I'm not saying redoing, like trying to, because there's a different relationship. Like Anthony Hopkins' character is a little bit more angry, a little bit more aggravated with Edward Norton's character because he was caught, while in Silence of the Lambs he has more of an affection for Clarice Starling, so it's not the same thing. But still, one interviewing Lecter behind a cell, and I'm sorry, that's of course going to come up with Silence of the Lambs comparisons, and this isn't as good as Silence of the Lambs. Because it's also mixed in with the fact that I could just watch this and Silence of the Lambs instead of watching this. It just, to me, it's a pretty decent cast, but when I see the journalist, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, caught, and out, to me, Tom Noonan was creepier. Like, Ray Fiennes is a good-looking guy. I don't mean any weirdness with that, but he's a good-looking guy. He has like a teeny tiny star here, and he does a good job performance-wise, but look-wise, Tom Noonan was just creepier. You know, his scene with Stephen Lane, I found a creepier scene than the one in this one with Ray Fiennes and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Tom Noonan goes, just, do you see? Do you see? Just the way it's handled in this one just seems creepier. Even the scene with the wheelchair on fire, I like the way it was done here, where it just seems more sudden. It just seems like more of an oh shit moment, and then the wheelchair's coming right towards camera in Manhunter. While this, you see a person go, oh, and then you just see the wheelchair going from here to there. It just seemed like more of a shock in this, and especially the flaming wheelchair with, the journalist inside. Stephen Lane in that one, Philip Seymour Hoffman in this one. because it's a journalist who had messed with Will Graham before, and one thing leads to another. They get him to print some stuff that the killer didn't like, so he takes his frustration on the journalist character. But I don't know, Manhunter, the way it seemed more sudden, seemed more of a shot going right towards camera, while this, it just, and it didn't shock me because I saw it in this movie. I don't know. I mean, in essence, you can't say it's a remake because it's an adaptation of a novel, but that's kind of how the feeling I got was I was just watching a remake of Manhunter, only not as, it didn't have the mood, the stylish 80s mood and atmosphere and colors that Michael Mann brought to his movies, especially in the 80s. In movies like Thief, which that's a film I need to grab sometime. I don't have Thief, but I remember liking that one with James Caan. Or even the mood he brought to other films like Collateral, which I love Collateral. I want to review that sometime. Same with Heat, one day down the road. Those two movies I really enjoy. But, and I didn't see his new one, Black Cat. Just wasn't interested enough to see in the theater. Maybe if it comes to DVD, I'll check it out. But, I mean, the rest of this film is just him kind of like Manhunter, doing the investigation, wondering what to do, finding out that the killer has these home videos, which deals with his job, and that's how he knew what was inside the victims' homes and how he got in. You know, the beginning's different is one difference, and the ending is different. The ending to this, I like the ending to Manhunter better. You know, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, that song playing, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, baby. You know, Will Graham, William Peterson's character, being a total badass, going through the window in slow motion. He gets cut, but then shoots the shit out of him. You're like, yeah, that really satisfying ending. While in Red Dragon, which again, maybe that it's more faithful to the novel, the Ray Fiennes character is with the blind lady. She, of course, we're supposed to think that he shot himself, but he didn't. He escaped. This house is burning up. Then she got out. Edward Norton tries to come up. Explosion with a bit of CGI mixed in there. And then Will Graham, Edward Norton's character, is at home with his wife and kid. Harvey Keitel finds out, oh my god, he's still alive. It's too late. Ray Fiennes has Edward Norton's kid. Edward Norton plays a little mind game with Ray Fiennes. They shoot each other. The woman, his wife, comes up and shoots Ray Fiennes for the final blow. And again, it's not terrible, but I just prefer this. It was more stylish, more badass, more thrilling, more entertaining. The usage of the music and the angles, and like when William Pearson was more of a badass, and it was more satisfying. And also, I felt like William Pearson, his character, found out more of the clues on himself, while this one, it just seemed like Edward Norton relied so much on the Hannibal Lecter character that's like, you get the idea that he's a smart character, but it seems like he has to rely on Hannibal Lecter so much because he goes back, tell me this, tell me that, just tell me, just tell me. And he does figure stuff out on his own, but it just seemed like the Will Graham on this wasn't so dependent on Lecter, which I like more. I like that he wasn't as dependent on Lecter as much as in this film. Again, maybe that's because it's more faithful to the novel, this one. But again, it just a lot of the same stuff as this, because they're both adapted from the same novel. But I just like the mood, the atmosphere, the usage of colors. I think I don't even remember who did the music. I think it was Danny Elfman. I didn't care for the music in this. In fact, well, to be honest, I don't remember the music in this. Danny Elfman did it. Wow. Anthony Hopkins. To be honest, I like Brian Cox more than Anthony Hopkins, based on these two movies. I mean, I would say Anthony Hopkins does a good job in Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, but to me, this is his weaker performance. I'm not going to say he's god awful, but he's just at times just chewing the scenery a bit too much. Again, mainly when he's been captured. Like the first beginning scene, he's fine, but when he's been captured, he's in a cell. It just, I don't know. And then those scenes between Edward Norton and Hopkins, it just, again, there's a different vibe between the two because their relationship's different, but it just brought comparisons to Silence of the Lambs, and it's just not as good as Silence of the Lambs. So those scenes were like, they were there. Just because, Edward Norton does a good job acting. I'm not going to give any crap to Edward Norton. He was good. The other acting, Harvey Keitel, Ray Fiennes wasn't bad. Emily Watson was good. Mary Louise Parker, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Again, Brett Ratner's direction I thought was just there. Like, honestly, nothing about his direction struck me as... It didn't give me any feeling, actually. I just didn't give a fuck one way or another. I'm like, okay, whatever. If there's any... Okay. Competent, I guess. But this could have been directed by anybody. That's what it felt like. While Manhunter definitely has more of a stylish direction, which I like. And this definitely has a shitload more features than Manhunter. I mean, it has a commentary with Brett Ratner and Ted Talley, a music score commentary with Danny Elfman, Lecter's FBI file and life history, Inside the Mind of a Serial Killer, hosted by John Douglas, Anthony Hopkins, Lecter and Me, The Making of Red Dragon, A Director's Journey, Brett Ratner's student film, visual effects, screen and film test, makeup application, storyboards the final feature, comparison, additional scenes, deleted alternative and extended scenes. I think a lot of those features are on the DVD as well. This is a hard film to review because the acting's not the problem, but the rest of it just brings comparisons to this, and I just prefer this more. I prefer the look of it more, the 80s feel of it more, of course. Well, I shouldn't say of course, it's not automatic, but I like the 80s feel of it. I like the stylish direction by Michael Mann, the usage of colors. I do think Tom Noonan was a creepier villain. I mean, Ray Fiennes wasn't bad, but Tom Noonan was creepier. He was a much more creepier villain. Ray Fiennes was just a good-looking guy who does a good job acting, but Tom Noonan does a good job acting, but he's just a creepier guy, just a creepier look to him, creepier vibe to him. And Edward Norton does a good job. I prefer William Peterson because he was just more of a badass, as well as a smart character. I'm wondering if this helped get him that TV show CSI. But Dennis Farina, I like him. Again, I have no problems with the cast in this. I do think Brian Cox did a better job of Hannibal in this film than Anthony Hopkins did in this film. Like, if not, take out Silence of the Lambs, take out Hannibal. If you want me to just judge on these two, I think the Hannibal in this was better than the Hannibal in this. I didn't need tons of screen time with Anthony Hopkins in this film because it's not about him. It's about this other killer, which is probably what Michael Mann's intention was in this film. Or again, I don't know which one is more faithful, but I'm not sure why they didn't use the Red Dragon. Maybe they thought if it was said Red Dragon, they thought people would think it was about an actual dragon. It's like audiences aren't that dumb. At least I don't think. But I mean, I think the showdown is better in this one. The showdown in this is it's ho hum. At least compared to that, I can't help it. I just compare it to this. I think this was done better. Even little stuff like the wheelchair, the journalist on fire in the wheelchair. The fact that this seemed more of a shock and it was just coming right towards camera, while this was just going off the side. Again, the acting is good. It's competently photographed. I mean, it looks polished, I will say. It looks like there's a big budget, polished look to it. It's just, I could just watch Silence of the Lambs and Manhunter back to back and get the same thing out of this, only I think they're better movies, they just make me feel more. This is just, I don't know, it's a piece of bread. It's not bad for you, but it just doesn't have any taste to it. It just doesn't have any, in a way I want to say bland, only for the fact that I could just watch this, which for the most part is the same fucking movie, but done in a more stylish 80s music, colors, badass hero going through the window, slow motion, shooting the shit out of a killer while in a guy DeVita Baby is playing. I prefer that over this. Just seems like a Hollywood movie. I don't know how to describe it. Just, it's not. I'm not going to rant on it because I don't think it's a piece of shit. It's just, why watch this when I could just watch this? Which, I think someone said they like this more. That's fine. Teach their own. I disagree. I think, I disagree. I think this just more of a mood and atmosphere to it. But that's just my opinion. But that's Red Dragon. It is what it is. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.